Hi and good evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Buddham. Now the latest headlines from world channels and news agencies.
Purported leak.
State weather outlook. Today, you'll be dodging a few raindrops and even
As we come on the air in the West, the breaking news, the new fires in California tonight, and that scare involving the Getty Center. We're on the scene. Also, a judge blocking President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship and what the president did today involving the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, RFK, and Martin Luther King. First tonight, a federal judge dealing the first blow to President Trump's immigration crackdown. The judge blocking the president's executive order ending birthright citizenship, calling it, quote, a blatantly unconstitutional order. Tonight, the president responding. Also, this move by the president involving JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King. Tonight, the alarming security breach at the U.S. Capitol. ABC News learning a man able to walk through the Capitol inside, authorities say with a loaded gun, right during confirmation hearings. Those 7 police officers shot and wounded responding to a call, a Navy veteran opening fire on them. What we're now learning about the gunman. The new image is coming in right now, the massive Hughes fire burning just north of Los Angeles, winds gusting up to 80 miles per hour, fueling multiple new fires, and the scare involving Bel Air and the Getty Center. Tonight, the dangerous cold from Texas all the way up to the Northeast, so when does it break? Lee Goldberg times this out tonight. The tense moments on board that passenger jet taking off from Boston. We now see the images tonight, the cockpit, the cabin filling with smoke.
Mayday.
Passengers saying they could not breathe. In court right now, the suspect in the Idaho college murders and what his attorneys have now asked the judge. The landmark settlement tonight involving OxyContin, what Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family have agreed to pay. The Oscar nominations revealed tonight, Amelia Perez, The Brutalist, Wicked, leading the pack. Timothy Chalamet and first-time nominees Ariana Grande and Demi Moore, her first nomination at 62. And Inside Out 2 nominated tonight, reaction on it all. And America Strong, what the Buffalo Bills fans are now doing for the Ravens tight end who dropped the ball. He says he was gutted. What Bills fans have now done tonight, even the Ravens thanking them.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Tonight, President Trump's executive order blocked. Federal judge issuing a temporary pause on the president's effort to limit birthright citizenship. This as the president starts carrying out his long-promised immigration crackdown, giving new authority to federal agencies for deportations and sending more troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. Plus, could there be a setback for the president's nominee to run the Pentagon? Republican senators voting no on Pete Hegseth. The massive battle underway in Southern California. Thousands of firefighters racing to get new flames under control. Police under fire. 7 San Antonio officers wounded in a shootout. Our consumer alert, those texts you may have seen telling you to pay up on your Easy Pass bill. Tom Costello on the new scam. Who's behind it? How to protect yourself.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Bracing for mudslides, the concern tonight as a battered Southern California prepares for its first rainfall in months.
My brother just lost his home over in the Altadena fire, and now I'm like, oh my God, now it's my turn.
2 key Republican senators say they won't vote for President Trump's pick for the Pentagon. What does it mean for Pete Hegseth's nomination?
Every senator is going to vote for conscience.
And tariffs threat.
We're going to be demanding respect from other nations.
How soon could import taxes be put in place? What does it mean if you're trying to buy a car?
How quickly does that get passed on to the consumer?
It's immediate.
The CBS Evening News starts now.
Let me ask about the economy. Okay, so will the tax cuts be permanent? No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And explain, when you talk about all of this money under our feet, and the golden era of America. An energy, drill baby drill. How do you get these companies to invest billions? And how quickly are they going to extract this energy and maybe supply Western Europe? Because I agree with you. It's money that will save this country.
We have more oil and gas than any other country, and we're going to have more. And with Anwar, which he ended, Anwar is the biggest. Anwar could be, that's in Alaska, could be as big or bigger than Saudi Arabia. We have more than any other country. It's a great thing. It's a great asset because China doesn't have that. China does not have that. They have to go out the old-fashioned way and buy it. We have more than anybody. We're going to become a wealthy country again, and energy is going to lead the way. But there'll be other things also, tariffs, because tariffs, we were our wealthiest in the 1890s, okay? And by the way, we're going to rename Mount McKinley into Mount McKinley because he was a great president from Ohio. He was a senator from Ohio. He was a very successful businessman who believed strongly in tariffs. He ran for the Senate, he won. He ran for the presidency, he won. He was ultimately assassinated in his second term, but he made the country very rich. And Teddy Roosevelt then came along, and I'm not knocking Teddy Roosevelt, but he spent the money that was made during the McKinley years, and he did, a lot of great things, like building the Panama Canal. The most expensive thing, the most expensive thing we've ever built is the Panama Canal.
And you're serious
and
about it?
Unfortunately, Jimmy Carter gave it away for $1. Oh, no, we're going to have to take it back. China's running the Panama Canal right now. That wasn't the deal.
And
it should have never been given. Well, the deal was not that China is going to run the Panama Canal.
If we became energy dominant and we provided all of Western Europe with our energy, wouldn't that help bankrupt Putin? Number one, he wouldn't be able to fund his wars. And number two, and I think that would make the world a safer place. And the amount of money we're talking about, would America become the single most energy wealthy country in the world? And what would that mean for paying down our debt, saving
We
Social
can supply
Security?
the whole world with energy. That's what we have. For hundreds of years, we could supply the whole.
On this Thursday night, the U.S. president takes another jab at Canada.
You can always become a state.
Why he claims America doesn't need its northern neighbor as uncertainty looms in Canada's lumber sector. California's new wildfires, why rain in the forecast could lead to more problems. Where does Trump's two-gender policy leave Canadians?
It's a lot of fear.
They do. Thailand's legalization of same-sex marriage. And unearthed after more than 4 decades. The long-lost Tina Turner song just rediscovered.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening,
Visit abc.net.au/emergency.
The Prime Minister makes a pre-election pitch to the building sector, promising new incentives for apprentices. Cold case breakthrough, a Melbourne man arrested over sex attacks dating back 4 decades. President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship blocked by a federal judge. And Novak Djokovic and Alexander Zverev battle it out for a spot in the Australian Open final.
This is Asia Now.
Hi and good afternoon. It is 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 a.m. in New Delhi, 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers. At this hour, U.S. President Donald Trump dangles the promise of low taxes to global elites in Davos only if they invest in the United States. He's also doubling down on his tariff threat to China and looking to end the war in Ukraine by slashing oil prices. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto in New Delhi for a 4-day visit, where he'll be India's chief guest at the 76th Republic Day celebrations. He's looking to boost economic and defense cooperation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Plus, the Bank of Japan has raised benchmark interest rates to a 17-year high. The Japanese central bank hiked short-term rates by 25 basis points to 0.5% as it carries on its path to policy normalization.
You're watching Sky News. I'm Nick Fish. Let's have a look at the headlines. The moments before Axel Rudikabana murdered 3 young girls at a dance class in Southport. Jailed for a minimum of 52 years and told he may never be released. Hit drop that changed our lives forever. Families and survivors describe the attacks as like a horror movie, and the killer was a coward.
He's just the most despicable young person who's committed the most vile and violent acts that are going to have an impact on the victims and their families for the rest of their lives.
Also ahead, Ireland prepares for one of its most severe storms. Nearly 5 million people get an emergency alert, with Storm Eowyn expected to cause disruption. Plus, a Spanish language musical about a trans drug cartel boss that has swept nominations at the Oscars. And in sport, Manchester United leave it late to beat Rangers in the Europa League. Hello, good morning. Axel Rudikabana.
Hello, welcome to Daybreak on France 24. I'm Kara Scarlett. Thanks for joining us. Here's a look at our headlines. A U.S. federal judge has temporarily blocked an executive order by Donald Trump seeking to deny birthright citizenship to children of undocumented migrants, calling it unconstitutional. Israeli troops have killed 2 more Palestinians in the occupied West Bank as a major military operation there continues. It's forced hundreds of people to flee their homes in Geneva. And scientists are closely monitoring satellite imagery as the world's largest iceberg is on a collision course to the overseas British island of South Georgia. The mammoth slab could take up to 4 weeks to arrive, and there's concerns for the island's rich ecosystem. Blatantly unconstitutional. That's how a federal judge in the U.S. has described Donald Trump's efforts to limit birthright citizenship in the country. The president signed an executive order at the start of the week which sought to deny immediate U.S. citizenship to children of undocumented migrants. The judge
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. US President Donald Trump has delivered a virtual address to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. He lashed out at the previous administration and repeated his threat to impose huge taxes and tariffs on non-US based manufacturers. He also promised to use his country's natural resources to the full. The suspect in the stabbing deaths of 2 people in the German city of Aschaffenburg has been placed in psychiatric care. The 28-year-old appeared in court on Thursday. He's been identified as an Afghan asylum seeker with a reported history of mental illness. A 2-year-old child and a 41-year-old man were killed during the incident on Wednesday. Hundreds of same-sex couples have tied the knot in Thailand today, the very first day that laws legalizing same-sex marriage went into effect. The group Bangkok Pride has organized a mass wedding event in the city to mark the historic occasion. Thailand is only the 3rd in Asia to allow same-sex marriage. This is DW News from Berlin. There's a lot more news on our website at dw.com.
Donald Trump.
Very good evening. Let's get you up to date with the latest headlines. Southport child killer Axel Rudakabana has been jailed for a minimum of 52 years, with the judge saying it's highly unlikely he'll ever be released. New footage has been released of the moment Rudakabana left a taxi without paying before launching his knife attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class. And the court heard harrowing details about how the victims were stabbed multiple times in a ferocious attack that lasted 15 minutes. It emerged Rudakabana boasted of his attack shortly after being arrested in July last year, telling the police it was a good thing the children were dead. The 18-year-old pleaded guilty to the murders of Alice De Silva Aguiar, B.B. King and Elsie Dodd Stancombe on 10 charges of attempted murder. During sentencing, Mr. Justice Goose described the attack as ferocious and sadistic.
I'm sure that Rudakabana had a settled and determined intention
thousands of schools across the country are expected to close tomorrow as Storm Eowyn heads towards the UK. It includes all schools in Northern Ireland and all of those in 16 councils in Scotland. Advise people to secure loose items outside their homes,
are expected to close
tomorrow
tomorrow as Storm Eowyn heads towards the
caused by
UK.
flying debris.
Includes all schools in Northern Ireland. And all
British
of those in
stars
16
Ray
councils in
Fiennes
Scotland
and
people to
Cynthia
secure loose
Erivo
items
have earned
outside
Best
their homes,
Acting Oscar nominations, with the Spanish-language film Emilia Perez leading the way with 13 nominations. Erivo's Wicked co-star Ariana Grande has been nominated in the Best Supporting category, as has British actress Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. Elton John achieved a 5th original song nomination after the release of his music documentary song Never Too Late. Fiennes, who is nominated for Conclave, will face off against Adrian Brody in The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for the Bob Dylan biopic, and Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing.
Fiennes, who is
nominated
nominated for
TV news
Conclave,
headlines.
will face off
More
against
in
Adrian
just
Brody
under an
in
hour's
The
time.
Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet
For the very
for
latest.
the Bob Dylan biopic, and Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. And those are the latest TV news headlines. More in just under an hour's time.
For the very latest.
The Sudanese Army and Rapid Support Forces RSF are battling near the Al Jili oil refinery, north of Khartoum. The army launched an offensive advancing towards the refinery, but has yet to take full control. Eyewitnesses described plumes of smoke blanketing large areas of Khartoum, with footage circulating on social media showing army forces taking control of the entrance to the nearby town. Simultaneously, fighting has erupted in the city of El Fasher. Earlier this week, tensions flared when RSF issued a 48-hour ultimatum demanding the army withdraw from its last stronghold in the area. Following the ultimatum's expiration, the Sudanese army responded with airstrikes targeting RSF positions, according to a military source.
More than 1 million people have left Sudan due to the ongoing war, finding refuge in South Sudan. In an update released on Tuesday regarding this significant displacement crisis, the United Nations noted that over 770,000 individuals have made their way through the Jordan crossing on South Sudan's northern border with Sudan in the last 21 months. This figure includes tens of thousands who have crossed the border at various locations, as reported by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and the International Organization for Migration since the outbreak of conflict in April 2023 between the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces and the Sudanese Armed Forces. The United Nations has urged for increased assistance for displaced individuals and the communities that welcome them, cautioning that essential resources in South Sudan, including healthcare, water and shelter, are now dangerously overstretched. The Malian artist Rokia Traore, who was detained in Rome last year due to an international child custody battle and subsequently extradited to Belgium, is said to be released from a Belgian prison, according to local news agency, citing her legal representatives. The acclaimed musician has been behind bars in Belgium since November after being sent back from Italy to serve a 2-year prison sentence. The 50-year-old singer and guitarist received her sentence in absentia from Brussels court in 2023 for charges related to parental abductions stemming from a protracted dispute from the Belgian father of her now 9-year-old daughter. Black South African servicemen who lost their lives in non-combat roles while serving on the Allied side during World War I and who do not have known graves have been honored with a memorial that lists 1,772 names. The memorial was inaugurated on Wednesday by Princess Anne of Britain.
And it is important to recognise that those we have come to pay tribute to have gone unacknowledged for too long. They were the men of the South African Military Labour Corps who served with valour in campaigns during the First World War. The family members are here today. These are their kin. They gave their all in the most challenging of circumstances. Their courage and dedication were essential to the Allied efforts, and their legacy deserves the lasting recognition that this memorial provides.
The ceremony marked a moment of pride and joy for Elliot Malunga de Lilazo as he celebrated the legacy of his great-grandfather Besengile, who was one of the individuals being honored.
It made us very proud. It made us very happy. Although it pained us, on the other hand, that the remains, we can't find the remains. But we're happy that at last we know exactly that he died in 1917, although the war started in 1914 and ended in 1918. He died in 1917.
Even though South Africa boasts numerous memorials honoring white soldiers who lost their lives in the 2 world wars, the sacrifice of many black servicemen were overlooked for many years.
Manchester City captain Kyle Walker has arrived in Italy on Thursday for a medical ahead of an anticipated transfer. The 34-year-old right-back, who has been with City since 2017, informed manager Pep Guardiola earlier this month of his desire to pursue a move abroad. A key figure in City's defence for years, Walker's speed and defensive recovery have been integral to Guardiola's tactical setup. However, his form has recently suffered due to off-field issues, and as a result he lost his starting spot. At Milan, Walker is expected to join fellow English players Fikayo Tomori and Tammy Abraham.
Thank you for sparing your precious time. This is Amir Shakil. Have a good life. Bye-bye.